Square one as far as the vehicle description right now. As I said, we're working on trying to see if there are any stolen vehicles in that area. I'm hoping that we'll get a break in that. But we're no longer looking for the Ford Edge. I also have with me our district attorney, Chris Conley, and he has an update for you on the reward information.
Thank you, Sheriff. After talking with the sheriff, I contacted the governor's office this morning and submitted a written request for her to give us the maximum reward possible under state law, which that's $5,000 per person. I submitted a written request, and within 1 hour of getting that request, she just provided me with a proclamation approving that maximum request for the award. And she states that the circumstances surrounding this event indicate that every effort should be made to apprehend and arrest Vicki White and Casey White. So we thank the governor's office for their prompt response and are certainly hopeful that this may encourage or incentivize someone to come forward. So thank you.
Thank you.
Does that extend the total, or does it make it higher?
That makes the total reward for Casey White $15,000. The total reward for Vicki White $10,000. So a total of $25,000 in reward money now. Okay, with that, I'll take a few questions.
Sheriff, are you upset at all about the fact that it took maybe a couple days for this other department to tell you guys that the car was sitting there in an hour?
Well, I mean, not really. Obviously, we'd like to know it Friday. They found the car before we knew they were gone. So, you know, I mean, there's no fault or blame on anyone. You know, the tow driver told it Friday afternoon. I'm sure that he probably sees some of the coverage that you guys have provided us. Saw the description of the car, and then probably a light went off, said, hey, you know, I think I remember towing that car, and went out in the lot and found it.
But I guess I'm concerned because is it like you guys sent out a bulletin, so every agency should be getting a bulletin that you guys were looking for this car. So I guess what I'm trying to figure out, where was the ball dropped in terms of looking at the paperwork, where it was missing, and that they had one?
You know, I'm not sure I followed that question, but are you saying the deputy that responded to the call?
No, I'm just basically saying you guys put out a bulletin to the entire country that you're looking for this car.
Yes.
And so I guess what I'm saying is, at what point did they look at the bulletin and notice that they had the same car that you were looking for?
Well, the car was towed on Friday. That bulletin went out, if I'm not mistaken, Tuesday morning. So, you know, there again, that's about a 4-day delay, and I'm sure at some point in time, a light went off in this guy's head, and he thought, wait a minute, you know. I mean, they tow a lot of cars, you know.
Sheriff, was there anything found in the car? What sort of state was the car in? And has there been any credible sightings in that area of Tennessee?
No credible sightings I'm aware of. The car was, there was nothing in the car. The car was not inventoried by the record company, and the comment is it didn't appear to be anything in it. It had been, there had been an attempt to spray paint it, and I have some photos if you want to see it. It's a botched up job, but they did attempt to try to paint it a little bit.
What makes you think the car actually broke down, you know, as opposed to them just ditching it, getting into the car?
Because of where it was found, a rural road, county road, where there's, you know, there may not a lot of traffic, but somebody obviously would see it sitting on the side of the road and call it in, which is what happened. I think if I were going to abandon a car that I knew was hot, it would be in a crowded parking lot somewhere where it'd blend in and not stand out so much.
Have you been able to piece any more of the puzzle pieces together in terms of what Vicki was up to leading up to this? There are reports that she was at the Kohl's buying large men's clothing and also at an adult store.
No. You know, I don't know what she was up to. I think at this point it's obviously, you know, a jailhouse romance or something, but that's the only explanation I really have.
Is there anything on video that you've seen to support that it was a romance?
Not that I've seen. Anyone, I saw a hand over here a while ago, I thought.
Sure, quick question.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Now you actually have the car in your possession, in law enforcement's possession. What can you glean from that vehicle, if anything, about how you're trying to track down these two?
I don't know, you know, it really doesn't leave us a lot. We just know what direction they were headed. You know, they headed north from here. Now, where they're, after Friday afternoon when they abandoned that car, which direction they had them there, we don't know. You know, so on that particular issue, we're sort of back to square one. But
And one follow-up to that, I know Mr. Connolly had announced earlier that $90,000 roughly was taken out of a series of banks by Vicky White the week prior. What can you say about that?
Yeah, that's my understanding, you know, from a number of banks. And, you know, we knew she had cash. You know, we've been working on trying to find that, you know, find out what she had or whatever. But yes, I mean, they had plenty of cash.
Do you think she had more than 90,000 in cash?
Not that we know of. Yes, sir.
Sure. Do you have any information about any connections as far as family members to either Casey or Vicky White in Middle Tennessee or in that northern direction on 65?
Not that we know of. That's something we'll be looking into for sure to see if we can find. I don't think so because, you know, we've been sort of looking at that from day one as far as family
So
connections.
you're
Yes,
thinking
sir.
they're on foot?
Well, they were when they lost their vehicle. Now, you know, there again, did they steal another car? They hitch a ride with somebody or something? You know, we don't know.
You just answered my question. I was going to say, have you had any indication how they left that remote area?
Yeah.
Let's move on from that.
No, sir, we don't know right now.
Okay, thank you.
Rick, how far off of 65 was the car left?
It looked like, I don't know, I haven't been to the scene. Looking at the map, it looked like maybe 2 or 3 miles east of 65, due east of Spring Hill, Tennessee. So, you know, it's hard to tell for sure. But obviously, they were taking the back roads.
On our last report, we heard that they had potentially had AR-15, a shotgun, and some other weapons. Do you think that they might have taken those weapons with them or still armed?
I think anything they had in the car with them, they obviously took with them because there was nothing in the car. Those are weapons that Vicky White owned personally. We're assuming that they have those weapons with them. We don't know that for a fact, but we're on the side of safety. We're assuming they do have those weapons.
I guess we all assume that you guys are canvassing, or someone's canvassing that area right now. Any homes nearby to where the car was dropped off? Any structures that we should know?
It's a sparsely populated area, but deputy marshals and other agents have been there all morning canvassing, trying to see if there were any witnesses that saw anything that might give us some lead.
Sure. At this point, is there any information to believe that anyone else, law enforcement or other in the community, that were involved with either the escape or assisting them once the escape was successful?
There's no indication I'm aware of that anyone else was involved other than Vicky White and Casey White.
Sheriff, have there been any other credible sightings? I know you were asked about that area in Tennessee. Has there been any other credible sightings of these two?
None credible. You know, the last text we received on our message board was that they were seen on I-5 headed north in Oregon in that orange car. So that was this afternoon or this morning.
Sorry, cutting off. You've been in law enforcement for many years. What is your gut telling you about this whole situation?
My gut is telling me that they're obviously on the run, and you know that they're probably right now. You know, I think the fact that they abandoned this car so quick and where they abandoned it, I think it threw them a curve. I don't think they planned for that, and I think they you know were grasping at straws. Now that's been a week ago today that this happened, almost to the hour. Matter of fact, 2 o'clock. That car was towed at 2:37. It was reported at 10 minutes till 2, which it's 2:08 right now. So, basically 7 days ago to the minute, they had this problem. And so I think it threw them a curve, but they've obviously had plenty of time to recover from that. So they probably settled back down into some sort of routine.
To follow up on a question earlier about whether or not someone could potentially help them, how else would they have gotten out of this rural, sparse area? If the car breaks down and they leave it aside, what are the possible avenues of transportation
Well,
out?
obviously, they could have walked or someone could have picked them up. I mean, that's really about the only two options. We're hoping maybe they walked somewhere and stole a vehicle. So, as we speak, they're working on researching to see if any vehicles were reported stolen in that area. They might have gotten a ride somewhere because, remember, at this time, there'd been no information put out. We wasn't even aware they were missing. So, if somebody saw them walking down the road, they might have just picked them up.
Sheriff, are you still concerned for Vicky White's safety?
I am. I'll be concerned for her safety until we know she's safe. This guy is, he's volatile. I mean, anything could set him off, and at any time he could just lose it and decide she's a hindrance to him and, you know, harm her, so.
Sheriff, some people we've spoken to have called Vicki smart and calculated. I mean, do you think that she's sort of one step ahead of law enforcement right now and has all of this planned out?
I think that her knowledge of corrections and her knowledge of the procedures that we use here in the sheriff's office on transport most definitely played to her advantage. I think this was a very well thought out plan, and you know, so and her knowledge is you know, sort of put us what's the word I'm looking for? You know, we're sort of at a loss as to, you know, but she definitely, I mean, it's a very calculated plan.
Sheriff, during your investigation, have you done any search warrants at either the home that Vicki White used to own or her mother's home? And is that why you have these missing firearms? Is that how you kind of know that information?
I don't know. I would not be surprised if they hadn't done search warrants. I'm not aware that they, for a fact, that they did, but I know they followed every lead, so I haven't asked them about that, and they hadn't informed me yet.
Sheriff, what about the fact that Vicki White might be using different aliases to escape?
We know she used aliases, and you know, we're following up on that as well. She used the alias to purchase the car, so you know, we know she has used those aliases. That was another piece of information that was inadvertently let out earlier this week. So I'm assuming she's probably ditched those aliases and probably got some new identities now. Yes, sir.
So you've met obviously Vicki White in the past. What direct message would you say to her? The cameras are here now. You're making a direct appeal to her. What would you say? Speak directly to Vicki now. She's probably listening to this, or she will listen to this. What would you say to her?
What would I say to Vicki right now? The same thing I've been saying, you know. I'm sorry?
You can speak straight to the cameras there. They're looking, she's watching.
Yeah. I would, you know, at this point in time, I would say to Vicki that, you know, the same thing I've been saying. You know, we're going to find you. Hopefully, we find you safe. If you're safe right now, still safe, get out while you can, and turn yourself in to local authorities wherever you're at. So, yes, ma'am.
Were we aware of any other surveillance video here in Tennessee that was maybe spotted them at all? Their car or themselves in the store?
All right, video about the car
No,
themselves.
any additional surveillance video that we haven't talked about that has maybe spotted them either here or in Tennessee? Are we aware of?
I know, and someone asked earlier about the hotel she stayed in Thursday night. We did. I followed up to see if we had video of that. The investigators actually went out and viewed the video. We do not have copies of that video, but we do know that she was spotted on video at the Quality Inn directly behind Logan's. And I know that's been the case in a couple other cases where they viewed the video. We don't actually have copies.
Sheriff,
All right, yes.
just want a quick follow-up question regarding the aliases. Do you know if she used those aliases for her communication with Casey White while he was in prison?
I don't know that. I'm not sure. Couple more questions.
Sheriff, the U.S. Marshals put out a mock-up of Vicki wearing a brown wig. Is there any reason as to why you suspect that she may be disguising herself like that?
Well, I mean, I think it's probably logical and reasonable to assume she's probably tried to alter her appearance for obvious reasons. Do we know for a fact she's done that? No. You know, we don't know for a fact. One more question.
Sheriff, how would you sort of summarize where the investigation stands right now? You've talked about some sort of, you know, new information, some setbacks along the way. How would you categorize where this investigation is right now?
It's behind where we'd like for it to be. We wish we had a lot more progress. You know, it's been a week. You know, I wish we'd had them back in custody within hours. But, you know, we just have to work with what we got. We're still depending on leads from the public, tips, so we encourage people, if you see something, regardless of how unimportant you might think it is, call, report it, and let us follow up on it. Last question.
Sheriff, to follow kind of what she asked, using her aliases to possibly communicate with Casey White or back to possibly visit in the penitentiaries, which was obviously not reported correctly or stated correctly. Does that go back to like video visitation during COVID and things like that?
It does, and phone communication. The thing we've confirmed is phone communication. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I read that,
The last question.
I read that her keys and cuffs and radio have been found. Can you confirm that?
The what now?
That Vicky White's jail keys and her handcuffs and her radio have been
That was
found.
all in the car when we found it at the lot. Okay, thank y'all so much. And thank you again for helping us get the word out. Y'all have been tremendous, so thank you. We'll be in touch. By the way, before anyone leaves, I'm going home. Please do not bother me until 6 o'clock tonight, okay?
Yes, sir.
Breaking news on WFLA Now. Here's JB Buno.
A jailhouse romance now, a high-profile manhunt as Casey White, seen here in 2016, and Vicki White, former corrections officer in Alabama, are believed to have given themselves a massive head start in what deputies believe to be a coordinated escape and getaway. Hey folks, JB here with you live on WFLA Now. One of those stories that's taking a lot of twists and turns. We got the word about an hour ago that Ford Edge that you saw there, that rusty colored Ford Edge, was found in Middle Tennessee, a rural section of Tennessee. But the most interesting part about this press conference is exactly when the SUV was found. The SUV is found before the blue alert goes out, letting everybody know that Casey White and Vicki White are nowhere to be found after this trip to the county courthouse for a mental health evaluation. That was I think the biggest takeaway from this press conference. We're going to get into it here. If you're just joining us, we're going to kind of go back here and kind of talk about what we've learned in this press conference. A lot of it coming there from the sheriff, in this case, Sheriff Rick Singleton, who answered a lot of questions there in the Q&A portion, saying this is behind where we'd like for this to be. According to Sheriff Singleton, a massive head start is believed to have been set up here by the Whites. Again, no relation between Casey White and Vicki White. We're on standby for any other developments here as we stay here with you live on WFLA Now. We'll stay here with you live on YouTube and on Facebook. We're going to answer your questions. We're going to kind of go over what we know and what we don't know about this story. But I want to highlight, as we begin here, a lot to go over. I want to highlight one thing that actually comes from friend, colleague, News Nation's Brian Enton. A tweet that he put out. He was assigned to this story as of yesterday, and he's had boots on the ground now for a bit. And he put out a tweet that is extremely important for you to know, for everyone to know, and something that probably law enforcement officials have known for a while in regards to this story as they desperately search and urgently search for Vicki White and Casey White. And it's a tweet that Brian put out, and it's in relation to a jail guard who worked with Vicki White for years. I'm going to read this from Brian Enton's Twitter account. It says, jail guard who worked with Vicki White for years says she is smart and calculated. He says she looks much older than the pictures being circulated and that she was a big fan of tanning beds. Says if she dyed her hair, she would be hard to recognize. Okay, the tanning beds thing, let's just put that aside for a second. The thing I want to make clear with this story is that Vicki White, according to a jail guard who worked with her for a while, says that she was smart and calculated. And if you are, there is the screenshots. We're going to play back the video from the jail here momentarily, the last video that we have of them feet on the ground before they disappeared. But with this story and with this relationship that has developed, a jailhouse romance, if you will, with how this is developed over a long period of time, there is now, I think law enforcement officials have to proceed thinking that this was a highly coordinated and highly strategic escape and now getaway. Because it's Friday, May 6th, we're getting this update. This is a week after this vehicle is believed to have been abandoned in Middle Tennessee. Middle Tennessee, of course, not being far. Williamson County, Tennessee, not being that far away from the Huntsville area of Alabama, or really Florence, Alabama, Lauderdale County, where, of course, we have Sheriff Rick Singleton giving us this press conference a moment ago. So that's a big part about this, is that this is someone who rose up through the ranks of the Department of Corrections in Alabama, someone who knew the system very well, Someone who in this video that we're about to play back here for you doesn't really look or appear all that concerned and is smart and calculated according to a jail guard who we have heard from through News Nation's Brian Enton. A couple of other notes from the press conference. You have to assume that they are armed and dangerous. This is a big deal because if people are on the lookout now, whether it's in Tennessee, California, New York, Florida, wherever you are, you can get to a lot of places, just about anywhere in a week. So anyone that's on the lookout or might see these two, you have to assume that they are armed and dangerous. There's a multitude of weapons that Vicki White is said to have had in her possession. And you have to, as you heard there from the sheriff, you have to assume that she has those weapons with her, in addition to a massive amount of cash. A massive amount of cash. Now, we had this for you during the press conference. We're going to go through this again. These are some of the new details. The SUV connected to the escape has been found in Middle Tennessee. Also hearing as well from Sheriff Rick Singleton that it appears that there might have been a spray paint job, a boxed up job, I think is how he put it, saying that they tried to spray paint the Ford Edge before it was abandoned there in Tennessee. Vicki, again, according to Brian Enton, withdrawing $90,000 approximately in cash from multiple banks before this past Friday when she disappeared with Casey White. The wheelchair theory. Let's talk about the wheelchair theory for a second. And this is, again, coming to us from a friend of the program, who many of you know from joining us on WFLA Now in the past, Brian Enton, that the wheelchair theory is possible. And this comes from a conversation that Brian Enton had with the district attorney's office. District attorney saying that it's a possibility for Vicki using a wheelchair for Casey White. Now, why would you want to use a wheelchair? That slows you down. Not when you have somebody who is extremely tall, 6'9" is Casey White, a man who is again suspected in a murder that led to a capital murder charge. 6'9", 330 pounds, and a woman who's 5'5", 145 pounds roughly. Those two stand out in a crowd. You see somebody that tall, that short, together, it's just a little bit more peculiar than your average height man and your average height woman standing together side by side walking down the street. So the wheelchair theory is the possibility that Vicki had a wheelchair for Casey and disguised him to throw off the scent of anyone in the aftermath of their escape, anyone who might be looking for them and looking for somebody who is listed as 6'9", 330 pounds, 5'5", 145 pounds. That's also interesting as well. Back to the points here. Vicki stayed in a hotel the night before the escape. She had previously sold her home. She was living with her mother. And then new photos of tattoos, hair changes as well. We're going to get to some of the pictures. In fact, let's start with some of the pictures here with you and kind of give everybody an opportunity to get a good look at some of these photos. Some of the photos showing this is where the vehicle was found, this according to our sister station WKRN. Hello to our folks joining us in Tennessee. The area of Tennessee where the vehicle was found, by the way, this vehicle is said to be, it's south of Nashville. It's Williamson County, Middle Tennessee. And when I say rural, it's pretty rural. Now, talking about the car for a second, and I know that we're covering a lot of bases here. We are going to take your hashtag HJB questions and comments from Facebook Live and YouTube Live. I'm just trying to get everybody kind of squared away here before we actually go into some of the questions. I know that there's going to be a million theories, a lot of questions about this jailhouse romance. But before we get into that, I want to talk about the vehicle and talk about some of these images. By the way, Vicki White, seen here as a brunette, not necessarily just a blonde, might also be a brunette. Should point that out as well. There she is in her headshot years ago. There as a blonde. So we've seen her now as a brunette, as a blonde. The vehicle, when it's found in Tennessee, there's no traces of any other vehicle there in that area. So you hear there from Sheriff Rick Singleton, might be on foot or might have been picked up. Or are they just extraordinarily coordinated to the point where they have covered up their tracks a week ago? This is again going back to last Friday. Before the blue alert is even put out, that's when this vehicle is located in Middle Tennessee. Goes to show that they made it out of there. They made it out of Northwest Alabama in a hurry, and the direction that they traveled in was north. And they crossed the state line, headed into Tennessee, and abandoned this vehicle. Was the vehicle being abandoned part of the plan? Are they in the woods? Are they on foot? Are they camping out somewhere? Did they find another vehicle? These are questions. Is there an accomplice? We heard there from Sheriff Rick Singleton, him saying that at this time it is just believed to be the Whites. Again, no relation, but I'm going to call them the Whites, Vicki White and Casey White. Casey White, they're on the right side of your screen, connected to a white supremacist group behind bars. You can see some of the tattoos here. That was also a note. I forget the name of the white supremacist group, but there's a white supremacist group that he is said to have had, that he was connected to while behind bars. And there we have some of the differing shots between Vicki White and her headshot and a more recent photo. Also important to note, this photo, different looks of Casey White. You have here him clean shaven. You have him here there with a beard as well. You have him there with a goatee. And yes, the special relationship that existed between the two, that we can pretty much now say with certainty that a romance developed between these two over an extended period of time. Let's get to some of the questions, some of the comments for those of you just joining us. I know that we've got a lot of folks joining us on YouTube Live, a lot of folks joining us on Facebook Live. I'm really sorry for now just getting to this, but I'm now going to start to pluck your comments out of the queue. So if you have a point, an observation, something I haven't brought up, there's a lot of nuggets of information with this story. So if there's something that I missed, if there's a question that you want to ask, how this works on WFLA Now, just use hashtag KJB. I can feature your comment out of the Facebook Live or out of the YouTube Live comment section. We'll try to get to some of the questions on Twitter as well. We have some time, not going anywhere. We're going to kind of talk about this now over the next few minutes. So let's launch our comment featuring system and get some of the comments loaded in. We'll make sure that we can see YouTube Live. Hello to everybody joining us on YouTube. And we're going to launch Facebook Live's comment feature as well and say hello to all of you joining us on Facebook Live too. And again, we're monitoring feeds here. So if a new feed pops up, or I also know that we have some guests who might be joining. Let me just kind of, as you're filing, you might be typing in your question. We did have a stream planned. A stream that was going to be, we were going to have WHNT investigative reporter Dallas Parker and News Nation's Brian Enton in a big afternoon stream. And then hell broke loose. Everything went to you-know-what when we had the press conference announced, and everybody scrambled to the press conference. So here we are with you live on WFLA Now to answer your questions. And the reporters that are on this story, they're in Lauderdale County, packing up their gear, packing up their equipment, and trying to progress with the next phase of this story. All right, so I'm looking here at some of the comments that are coming in. Hello to Jay. Let's get to, you know what? This is a good starting point for us. It's a question that comes from Sarah Salmon in our comment section. Hello there to you, Sarah. Sarah, hashtag KJB, are people shocked that she is doing this? We're going to get into that. We're going to get into that starting now, but I want to let's activate share to help here while we can, because this is a massive manhunt. Shares on social media can go a long way. So we're going to ask folks again to share out. It doesn't even have to be the live stream. You can share the live stream, but share out pictures, share out images, raise awareness. The weekend is here, but folks should, especially in the Tennessee area, should really keep their eyes peeled, because if these two are on foot, and they did reach a neighboring town somewhere in the Williamson County area, you need to be on the lookout for potentially armed and dangerous individuals. Here's another thing, though, that is just so curious about this story, is that if they are on foot, if they are armed, if you have $90,000 in cash, you might be carrying a lot with you as well, if they're on foot. Just something to point out, because you're not going to take $90,000 in cash and just leave it in that vehicle. Clearly, they would have said if they had found that in the vehicle, and you're not going to leave $90,000. So you're carrying a good amount with you. $90,000 probably fit in a backpack, right? Not an expert. Never had $90,000 in cash just sitting in front of me. Had the stuff into a backpack before. Maybe somebody in our comment section has. I haven't. You can let us know. Can you fit $90,000 in a backpack, as well as a handgun and some other items? Are people shocked that she's doing this? Yeah. Yes. Every press conference that we've had from Sheriff Singleton, they're, I think, just flabbergasted that this is happening, that they have known her for a long time. She was, again, retirement. I think the retirement thing now, I think that makes more sense, that this is part of something bigger with what was going on in Vicki White's life, selling the house, and the retirement, all of this now, all of these puzzle pieces are starting to fit together, are they not? And so people are shocked by this because she was an excellent employee within the Department of Corrections. But to have a romance with somebody who, upon conviction, could face the death penalty for a stabbing murder, I think that I speak for all the officials that reporters have spoken to and the sheriff. Just a state of shock has set in Lauderdale County, Alabama. Let's go to some other questions and comments. I mean, how big of a backpack? Michelle Batten, #HAB, you can put $90,000 in a backpack. It's all $100 bills. Not that I've ever done it. Well, it's interesting. That's the thing. You have this cash, this amount of cash, and let's remind folks, as some have been reporting online, it might be in excess of $90,000. It might be more than that. That's just the amount that we knew that she withdrew from banks. There might have been an additional. Could she be traveling around with six figures? Absolutely. Looking through some of the comments. Trisha Smith. Trisha, I don't have $90,000. Don't have $90,000 just laying around. But I know that there's a lot of people now asking about the $90,000 in the backpack. Again, but see, are they on foot? We just don't know. We don't know if they were picked up by somebody. If there's a lot of unknown now about this point of reference on the map and this moment in time, because we believe that they hightailed it from Northwest Alabama, made it to Middle Tennessee, and then poof, disappeared. But people just don't disappear. They went somewhere, and their mode of transportation is, of course, a key point in the investigation. Let's also remind people, I'm going to get to, hi there, Carol Alford's comment. I'm going to add you to the queue here, Carol. I also want to point this out as well, as talking about this story. Let's not forget that Sheriff Singleton mentioned in an interview that the details about the Ford Edge wasn't supposed to be public knowledge, that they didn't want that information getting out. So I wish, I believe that, I invited Jennifer Coffendorfer, FBI, retired FBI agent, to join on the stream. She might pop on at some point. And this is a question about FBI tactics. They said that they regretted the details getting out about the Ford Edge, about the vehicle, the rust-colored vehicle. And now, is there more details that they are specifically not releasing the public because they know that they're dealing with an intelligent individual, someone who might be more equipped to elude law enforcement over an extended period of time than the average person? That's possible. Sheriff Singleton might have been very coy in this press conference and just put out information that they want to be out there. And that we're talking about the U.S. Marshals now. They might have more information that the public isn't supposed to know at this stage of the investigation, but that they have this point in time, this point on the map as to where the vehicle was abandoned in Middle Tennessee. Let's get to some other questions and comments. We're about to hop over to YouTube Live in just a second. Carol Alford on Facebook, #KJB, I'm totally shocked. Why? What does she see in him? I think he will do away with her as soon as he gets the chance. Her life is over. As for him, his life has been over, only a matter of time. I'm going to leave that to the psychologists out there, and there are some brilliant psychologists that do exist on YouTube especially that can give us can psychoanalyze the case from this to answer this question: what leads to somebody to fall in love with somebody who is locked up behind bars, suspected of a very, very serious crime that could lead to the death penalty? What is triggered in someone's brain to fall in love with somebody like that, to have a romance with somebody like that? I'll leave that to the experts. But this is a question a lot of people are asking. What do you see in this guy here on the right side of your screen? What's the appeal? There's some of his tattoos. Let's show you guys this as well. I want to do a deep dive into this video. This is the video now of from a week ago. 1 week ago today, April 29, 2022. Here is Vicky White, radios into somebody, comes in, looks pretty nonchalant, right? Looks pretty nonchalant to me. Very casual. Opens up the door. And then we're playing this back in real time, so we don't know what's going on here behind the door. But this is now, again, she is picking up an inmate for this supposed mental health evaluation at the county courthouse down the road. So she goes into this area where, again, it's part of an inmate transfer where she's now taking custody of him. Opens up the door, holds it open, very polite. He walks through. They don't appear to be in any rush. Doesn't appear to be anything out of the ordinary. Opens up the door for him, of course. You're going to open up the door for him. He's got handcuffs on, at least for now. Walks around. You can see her. She does have a waddling gait, so she does have a little bit of a hitch in her step. No rush. She didn't run over. She gets in the vehicle, and she drives away. Now, I think that, and I'll let everybody kind of comment. Let's go over to YouTube now. We'll go over to some of the comments on YouTube. We have a zoomed in look here now. Let's look at this again. Radio's in, and we're going to fast forward this a little bit. Opens up the door, goes in, pays attention there to the right, comes back. Not in a hurry, holds the door. He's wearing his flip-flops with socks on. Comes out, handcuffs on. Looks like he might say something in that moment. Can't say for certain. Might say something. And she very casually strolls over, opens up the patrol vehicle now. Now you remember now she takes the patrol vehicle down the street. That patrol vehicle is eventually found. And the Ford Edge has been photographed in the hotel parking lot where she was staying. So there's that connection as well. So they transfer vehicles, they go to Middle Tennessee, and that's where we last have any details about their whereabouts. But I find this video very interesting because there's nothing here that looks out of the ordinary. But of course there's nothing here that looks out of the ordinary, right? What do you guys think? Teresa Hall, hello to you, Teresa, on YouTube, #AJB. Protocol definitely not followed. He should have been escorted out by other guards, not allowed to walk freely to the car. Could there have been the possibility of an additional guard, considering how high profile he is of an inmate? Is there the possibility that there was supposed to be somebody else and she saw to it specifically that it was just going to be the two of them? These are questions that we don't have answers to. But there's a lot of folks that are pointing out that it's out of procedure for somebody to be transferring an inmate with this kind of record, one-on-one. It's a lot of trust to put in one person, even if I believe, and I'm not great with titles, apologies. I think she is the Assistant Director of Corrections. That's a pretty high-ranking position within the jail. She's not just any corrections officer. She's the Assistant Director of Corrections, high-level person within the jail. So does she use that level of influence to ensure this is one-on-one? Can't say. But she is able to, I don't know, if this had been, I guess what I'm trying to ask is, had this been a single, regular, standard-level jail guard or corrections officer, would this have been allowed to happen? Or was it allowed to happen because of her rank? Michael Henderson, hi there, Michael, on YouTube, #AJB. Did she know of his ex-wife's suicide murder? If not, and she learns of it, I would think he would do away with her rather than deal with the extra risk. There is zero chance given, in my opinion, if you're asking for my opinion, there is zero chance she doesn't know about the details of his past. And what Michael is referencing is now a reopened investigation into Casey White's ex, who died in what was ruled a suicide, but they're now reopening the investigation. And you would have to imagine at this stage with where we are in this, that Casey White is telling Vicki White, I didn't kill her. Or maybe he was completely honest and open with her and she went through with it anyway. You just don't know. What everyone has to remember with this is that there is nothing ordinary about this story. And I think that you're probably watching right now because there's nothing ordinary about this story. Everything about it is strange, it's peculiar, it's bizarre, and doesn't add up for what a normal person would do. You're cruising to retirement. You have saved up a lot of money. It's a good amount of money. I've never had $90,000 in cash just kind of sitting in front of me. It's a good amount of money. You have this amount of cash, and you can do anything with it, and you decide to help a suspected murderer escape and jeopardize your career and really your livelihood to do so. There's nothing normal about this story. And so it's seeing this video. I've watched this video 50 times. I'm just looking for anything. I've zoomed in. I sat in an edit bay and I just looked. I was staring at it. I'm just trying to get into the head of somebody who is putting their everything on the line for that guy. Now, I'm going to quote some of our commenters. Love makes you do crazy things, but this is next level crazy. This is, help me with the word, ludicrous, bonkers, surreal. Share to help on the bottom of your screen. Again, you can, I don't care what you share. You can share pictures, you can share the live stream, you can share videos, anything. Just share something on social media. Every time you hit share or distribute or post something, it exposes the story to a new audience. And I was talking with some folks this week that still hadn't heard about this story. They were like, what? Like, they still hadn't heard about it. Now I'm in Florida. But there's still a lot of people who haven't heard about this story. So social media is going to play a big part in this. And again, if you see them, do not approach. You call 911 immediately. And I say 911 and not the sheriff's county hotline because I'm just going to assume at this point that you're watching from basically anywhere. We have an international audience here on YouTube and on Facebook. So I'm going to assume that you're watching from all over. And really the big thing is you just dial 911. And if you see somebody who matches 6'9", 330 pounds, similar description to what you're looking at here on your screen, and someone who's 5'5", 145 pounds, who might be a blonde again, might be a brunette. These are the tattoos. We'll show you the pictures again. That's the stare. That's the image that's been making the rounds the last couple hours a lot, especially on social media. There's the brunette, Vicki White. And here in her headshot, oh, nope, see, I think it's set to random. Shuffle mode is on. But there's another shot showing you Casey White with a pretty cold stare. All right, back to YouTube, back to some of the comments that are coming in. Use hashtag HJB, and then I can say your name and everything. But if you don't want to get my attention, that's fine. You can keep commenting. I don't want to, just don't use the hashtag, and I won't, say your name or anything like that. Kelly Budd on YouTube, hashtag HJB. He's going to stick out. She may have planned an Airbnb so they can lay low for some time. No hotel staff or others to see him. He's almost 7 feet tall. He could hunt geese with a stick. I never heard that expression. He could hunt geese with a stick. He is almost 7 feet tall. He's a big, big guy. But let's talk about Airbnb for a second. You still have to give your information for an Airbnb. And I know what you're thinking. Duh, JB. Yeah, you're going to give your information. You're not going to give your actual name. You're not going to give your actual information. But the more people that are exposed to, that see these two, the more of a chance they are to be, the higher of a chance there is for them to be caught. So are you going to risk going to an Airbnb? It's a thing, an Airbnb. It might not be a hotel. It might not be as, Airbnbs are really governed by individual, property holders and so on and so forth. And it might not be as high profile, or there might not be as much exposure as a hotel. However, are you going to risk it? Because somebody could come up to the property and I don't know. Could they be they could be anywhere. Anywhere. What you have to take with this story is that you're joining us from Portland, Oregon. You're joining us from Boston, Massachusetts. You're joining us from Gulf Shores, Alabama. You're joining us from Corpus Christi, Texas. You could be anywhere. I think we had a comment from Facebook, and when I say could be anywhere, somebody said on Facebook, could he be in Mexico? I think the comment got deleted. Could be anywhere. Anywhere. With a story with details as scarce as they are and so little to go by, they can be anywhere. And it's not as, and this is, I'm going to bring up another story that is still near and dear to my heart, a story that I still check up on, a story that I think about sometimes, and I just get filled with sadness because it's a story that I just can't still wrap my brain around. It's the story of Harmony Montgomery, little girl who disappeared. No one reported it. No one knew that she was missing for a period of 2 years. 2 years. And people were asking, where's Harmony? Where is she? Well, she was last seen not 2 hours ago, as with normal missing person cases involving kids of that age, 2 years ago. So that story, you're talking about the amount of overknown, the elements that you could label as unknown and uncertain are overwhelming in that story. And it's a similar situation here because a week has elapsed. Roughly, we're coming up on 6+ days have elapsed since this vehicle was abandoned in Middle Tennessee. Since that vehicle was there in Middle Tennessee. Do you know what you can do in 6 days? You can go on a vacation. Think about what you could do in 6 days' time. That's a long time. You can get anywhere in 6 days. So that's why being live online and not on television, it's certainly a bonus because we can expose this story to a lot more people. Let's go back to YouTube and say hi to folks joining us on YouTube like Alabama, Paul Thornton. I'd like to thank the moderators helping us keeping our comment section on YouTube, especially welcoming and friendly for all. Appreciate it. So, review brethren on YouTube. Hello there to you, Mr. Brethren. Hashtag AJB. I wonder if Vicky uncuffed him and gave him a change of clothes before swapping vehicles. One would think his jailhouse attire would draw a lot of attention in public. Yeah. Yes. There's no doubt in my mind that he's not walking around in a jail uniform. But, and it's a moment to uncuff him. Think about that for a moment. Somebody who is accused of some extraordinarily evil acts, and you just helped stage a massive coordinated escape. And now you're going to take the handcuffs off him and give him his freedom back in society. He's not he's not at the mall shopping for clothes, we hope, but he's able to have his hands back outside of jail, free. And that had to have been a moment for Vicky White, because you uncuff him, now he can do anything. He can take his hands and do some extremely dangerous things to her, and extremely dangerous things, period. But now, listen, we're hearing about this romance that has occurred between these two. I'll leave it up to you as to what you envision in that moment. But I'm glad that you bring this moment up too, because I was thinking about it too. I'm just going to keep calling you Mr. Brethren. But that moment where he's uncuffed, both from the wrists and, remember, I think, didn't he walk out? I believe he walks out with, he's cuffed at his ankles, right? I'm 98% sure. Let's make it 100%. Again, here comes Vicky. Opens the door. Kind of looks to her right now. She's, she kind of holds the door there for a second. I think that she's referencing somebody right behind this wall. This is again from the jail in question here. Disappears. This is probably prisoner exchange, transferring from one to the other. Jennifer, I see you. We're going to get you in here in a moment. Comes out. And I believe he's got he's handcuffed at the ankles too, kind of above the ankle. Jennifer, you're not driving. I'm not putting you on if you're driving. Are you driving right now? I can't put you on if you're behind the wheel of a car. Hold on, Jen, I'm gonna bring up your audio. Jennifer, can you hear me? It's JB.
Hey, how's it going, JB? I can hear you.
I'm good. I see you behind the wheel, but I can't put you on stream if you're currently driving. So I'm checking in, saying hi. I see you there at the corner of my eye on the screen here.
Yeah, no problem. I'll be home in about 5.
Okay, we'll bring you in. That's I'll bring you down your audio. That's retired FBI agent Jennifer Coffendorfer, who I'm very anxious to hear from in just a moment and kind of pick her brain. And again, you can start filing in your hashtag Hey Jennifer questions, because we're gonna take some of her questions here as well. Get some of the questions that are coming in here on YouTube Live. This is interesting. Somebody just said hashtag HJB look in underground tornado bunkers in the area. That's fascinating. That did not even pop into my head. If that's even, I have not ever lived in a tornado prone area, so I don't know what that would even look like, to tell you the truth. I have done storm chasing in the past, and I did chase a tornado once, but that was kind of it's a whole other thing. Hashtag HeyJB. Where's the orders for him to go to get medical care? Patty Shedden. Hi there, Patty. The documents as to the mental health evaluation, that everything that we're hearing was bogus. I wonder if there ever was any documents. That's something we'll look into. We'll ask about. Ali Phrase, hashtag HeyJB. The same last name. Are they related in any way? Disturbing, but is it possible? So I talked about this on our last stream. I'm going to talk about this again. Okay. If they are, there is no family connection in any which way, shape, or form. I think I looked up, according to the last census, I looked this up because I think about these things. This is how my brain works. I looked up how common of a last name White is. I think it's 23rd, roughly the 23rd or so most common last name in the country. So it's not out of the ordinary that these two have the same last name. It's another bizarre, quirky sort of component to the story. However, it's still a very common last name. But if they did have some strange, distant first cousin, second cousin, once removed, twice removed type of extended family relationship, that's even more strange and more bizarre, because it's now been pretty much established now that we have this romance. So how that would all fit in, I'm just not sure. But let me make this clear. Officials have said repeatedly there is no family connection between them, despite that they have the last name. It's just a common last name. It's not as common or it's more common than Buno. I can say that for certainty. Penny M, hashtag HeyJB. Does it look like he has a key in his hand? Someone mentioned this. A key in his hand. Let's pause it. Why not? This is interactive journalism. This is what we do. We interact with you guys and we talk about these stories. So let's look. I'm going to pause it when we have the best shot of his hand, and then what we'll do is we'll kind of zoom in on it. How's that sound? Okay, so here she comes. Here he comes. I'll go as big as I can. Is he holding something? Let's move a frame or two ahead. Is he concealing something? Are they conscious that there's a camera in this position? I'm sure she knows. She's the assistant director of corrections. Was he told? Was he informed? Hey, when we make this turn, there's this camera in position. As far as surveillance video goes, this is pretty good. You ever see surveillance video these days and it's just terrible quality and you're thinking, was this thing installed in 1987? You just can't believe that it's that low res. This one's pretty good. This one's not that bad as far as surveillance video goes. But what do you guys think? Is he concealing something in his hand here? You can't say with certainty, everybody. This is just because we can do this. We are doing this to answer a question from one of our viewers, and can't say with certainty that he is or isn't. But somebody noted this online, and we have a tremendous community of sleuths online that point out these types of things. And so it would be a mistake to discredit anybody who asks just a question that is so simple to answer like this. Well, not simple. I wish it was more simple because I can't see what's in his hands, but we can at least zoom in for you and show you. Let's go another couple of frames. Maybe as he turns, we can see a little bit more. And then can't say. There's no obvious item or object in his hand. And also, too, if somebody saw a key, something that might have been metallic, it very well could have just been the light catching his handcuff, or the chain between his handcuffs. So it's entirely possible that that's what the person was noting. But let's get this back. There we go. Interesting. Because I've been following a lot of social media traffic as I do. You can follow me at WFLAJB on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on these platforms. And I've been following a lot of what you guys have been saying. I read your comments. It's what we do here at WFLA. I'm reading your comments. I had not seen that one, though, yet, that he appeared to have something in his hand. And I read a lot of comments. Hope to get joined here by Jennifer Koffendorfer, who's going to be providing her expertise here momentarily. High Priestess of the Dark Underworld. That's a YouTube user commenting with hashtag HeyJB. Some stories say the car was found last night, and you're saying it was found last Friday. When was the Ford Edge found? It was found, again, last week. That's what he said in the press conference. Let's bring up a Brian Enton tweet if we can. And I'll try to bring this up. It showed that they tried to spray paint it. And let's see if we can get this on camera or load it up. All right, so we're going to load in the picture from Brian's tweet. Stand by here, folks. Just takes 30 seconds to load in a picture from Twitter. But you might have seen it by now. This is the photo now from our sister station, WKRN. Hello to the folks joining us from WKRN, where the vehicle was found in Middle Tennessee. Here we have the Ford Edge that was really the focal point of the investigation in recent days, due to, of course, it being really the one lead that the public was aware of in relation to the search for the manhunt for Vicki White and Casey White. So here you see the various images. There you see Vicki White. Let's scroll ahead now to what we have from Brian Enton. Wait, one back. There it is. Oh, no. Why did it go away? Buttons, you guys, buttons. Here it is. Okay, one more time. There is the boxed up job, the bad spray paint job, and they tried to change the color of the car. It just looks to me, like they started and they're like, oh, this is a great idea. It's great. This is going to be great. And then they're like, oh, no, it's not going to be great. And then all of a sudden they gave up. Is that what it looks like to you? Because that's what it looks like to me. That they started with a whole lot of hope, and then they ended without a whole lot of hope. Or maybe without a whole lot of paint. It takes a lot of paint to spray paint a car and change its color completely. That's the image from Brian Enton's Twitter. Brian was supposed to join us today. I will mention that News Nation's doing a 1-hour special tonight. You're going to want to catch it. It's a 1-hour special on this story. So check out News Nation tonight, folks. Let's see. I'm just kind of reading your comments here, folks, and again, I'm only looking for the ones with the hashtag because that's our system here. So Lori Green, I'm going to bring up Lori Green's comment because this is important. Because we were talking about how a jail guard, according to Enton, said that she was smart and calculated, and that she also had a propensity for saving money. She was frugal. She wasn't, when it came to finances, she was smart, and she was smart and calculated in life. And Lori is saying, hashtag AJB, she must not be too intelligent. If she bought an orange getaway car, maybe white would have stood out less. Now, that's a good comment. It's an excellent observation that you're not as likely to find a white Ford Edge as you are an orange Ford Edge, orange/rusty color. And also, too, if you had such a well-coordinated plan, where did this right here on the right side of the screen, where did this fall into the highly coordinated strategic plan? Maybe it's a good question to ask to our dear friend, Jennifer Coffendoffer, who is
Sorry, JB.
Sit down. Sit down. There you go. All right, let's bring in Jennifer. Hey, Jennifer, how you doing? Hello.
I'm doing great.
In our
How you
audience,
doing, JB?
in our Facebook and our YouTube live comment section, say hello to Jennifer Coffendorfer, retired FBI agent, friend of the program, and an expert, if you will, when it comes to all things crazy, when it comes to stories concerning law enforcement. Jennifer, I'm just going to throw you up on screen here. What do you make of this story? What do you make of all this?
Well, I'd like to say that this is the first time I've seen something like this, but it isn't. You know, you have some women that are jail keepers, that are law enforcement, and not getting too psychological, just trying to tell you what I've personally seen in my experience. And they're lonely and they're sad and they're put in a situation where they're around these very manipulative and charismatic, in some cases, men. And over time, they develop feelings. They are getting attention that they haven't gotten before. And like I said, I've unfortunately seen this before.
Yeah, it's well, hold on though. I'm gonna hit time out because this is not your run-of-the-mill type of story. This isn't, you know, oh yeah, that jail escape thing that happens a few times a year. Oh, it's just another one of those. No. This isn't that type of. So you say this has happened before. Do you want to provide some context there?
Yeah, let me say in terms of the relationship.
Oh, okay.
Not in terms of going to the extreme of breaking the person that they have affection for out of jail or prison. But this is, it happens. Like I said, there was an FBI agent acquaintance of mine, and she got actually moved to my squad when she was going through her situation where she fell in love with a convicted murderer, and they were having consensual sex. She would get him out, and those types of things were happening. Obviously, she was lost her job and so on and so forth. But my point is, in talking to her, you wouldn't think anything other than she was very kind and sweet and rational, but you would also see her loneliness. She was a Betty Bureau, never married. She spent her entire day in and day out life fighting crime and working terrible hours, and she was really lonely, and she fell in love with this individual. So
let's take this one from hashtag Hey Jennifer is now making the rounds in our comment section. Good to see for Jennifer Coffendorfer joining us to provide some of her expertise here. And this one from Ashley Brown. Hello there to you, Ashley, saying hashtag Hey Jennifer. Between his first prison break attempt and her knowledge of the prison is crazy. The two-person protocol was implemented because of him, because he tried to escape that prison previously. And I'll have to review. I bring up this point because when it comes to the two-person, she was alone with. We see in this right here in this moment, she is allowed to leave the jail with him solo, one-on-one. Did that surprise you as much as it did not surprise me as much? Does it surprise you?
absolutely, JB. In all my years, 28 years in law enforcement, I can tell you I have never transported a prisoner solo, ever. And I don't know if you happen to see the tweet, but the first time I heard about this, which was right at the beginning, that was the first thing I said. Wait a minute, why is she transporting this guy solo? That does not happen. It's against all protocols, all jails, everywhere, especially as a female.
See, and the only reason I wasn't as surprised is because we hear about all the manpower and resources constraints that have hit jails across the country, and that a job that normally was meant for 3 or 4 people is now 1 or 2 people. So when I heard that, I just said, I hear all the time about there just not being the amount of the ratio of inmate to correction officer has really skewed over the years. And we hear all the time, we do stories all the time about our jails that are in some areas, quote unquote, overflowing. So when I heard that was the only reason, but it's interesting to hear you say that really was an eyebrow raiser for you. I have a question here from Kevin, hashtag Hey Jennifer. Do you think Vicki White, is okay?
I think she's okay at this point, and I say that because I think she's very valuable to him. I think she made all the arrangements on the outside to make this happen. I think that she can sort of meander in and out of doing the administrative stuff, getting them set up wherever they're going, and not be a person that's going to be on the radar. The other, Casey's 6'9". He's going to stick out. So I see her as very valuable in making all of this continue to happen for them to successfully be on the run.
How about this one that just came in as well? As we want to throw up some of the photos again. This is the photo. Well, real quick, before I go back to the comments, what do you make of this being the photo? This is from Brian Enton's Twitter. This being the photo of that attempt at changing the color of the car, the paint job that was started, not necessarily finished. What do you make of this shot?
I mean, it's very interesting that they would do this, but they don't want to take any more risks getting other cars and being around other people. So I could see that they would want to do this. Obviously, this is all ditched now because everybody found out about the car, including them. So they have had to make other arrangements.
Let's get to another one we had a question that came in, and I'm sorry, I missed the name, but it was a very interesting question. I'll try to scroll up again to see if I remember the name. And I missed it. But somebody in our comment section said, hashtag Hey JB, hashtag Hey Jennifer. Is there any chance there was any audio in the patrol? Oh, here it is, from One Juror Matters. Hashtag Hey JB, hashtag Hey Jennifer. Do you know if there's any chance of any audio/video from inside the police car of Vicki White? Service vehicles include both of these.
I would say if it had that capability, which some of them do, that she would have disabled all of that and made sure that everything was not operable, nothing to do, cameras or anything else. So I would guess not operable.
How about, KDS, hashtag Hey JB, hashtag Hey Jennifer. Did they come prepared with spray paint or did they buy it on their way? Let's point this out. If you're somebody who's attempting to get away and you're not swiping a credit card, you're not swiping a debit card, it's cash the entirety of the way. But if you're law enforcement now, I want you to take me into your brain now. If you're in charge of this and you're trying to track down these two, you have to go under the assumption that this was planned for a long time. All the supplies were previously purchased before this moment in time where they flee the jail, or they get out of the jail, when they get out of Alabama. So what is the strategy, knowing that, again, we have the report now that she withdrew $90,000 or more in cash. She's got a lot of cash on her person and potentially also a multitude of firearms as well. How much more difficult is it in the investigation knowing these facts?
Well, it makes it difficult because you're dealing with somebody that's been in law enforcement for an extended period of time and who has done a good job. People have questioned, well, how smart was she to get a orange car and things like that. I would submit that they've done a really good job evading police up to this moment. You have the entire country looking for them for the most part. I mean, I think this is a pretty well-known story. It's made national news. It's all over now, social media, and they're still evading. This is a 6'9" guy with a 5'5" woman. You would think that they would be detected by now, with state, local, and feds all searching for them, and they haven't. So I think they did a good job planning this. I think they bought that spray paint in advance. I think they planned to paint that over and change the color of their car, maybe even multiple times. I would guess they would have had multiple plates to use. But the bottom line is law enforcement made a huge, tremendous error in releasing the description of that vehicle because, of course, they know, and now they had to make other arrangements.
Going through some more of your questions here, folks, on WFLA now. You can use hashtag HeyJennifer, hashtag HeyJB, and also share to help. Yeah, share to help on the bottom of your screen to help get the word out. Jennifer, I want to be very cognizant of your time. If you do have to get going, you can always interrupt me at any point in time and let me know. But I think we're going to be streaming till about 4:30 Eastern, 3:30 Central. So if you have another 15 minutes, that would be great.
Okay, great. No problem.
Okay, looking for some of your other... let's go over the video again, because okay, so Waleska Cologne. Let's look at this together, Jennifer. You can see it on the Zoom, right? So we have, this is the moment in time, and you can see it timestamped. It's a week ago, 9:29, and now 3, 2, 1, 9:30 precisely in the morning, according to the timestamp on the surveillance camera. And somebody just noted, and the comments are scrolling up really fast. You have to forgive me, everybody, because I'm trying to read names. That's why the hashtags help me, because I can kind of see and follow a hashtag scrolling up on the screen better than I can the normal just kind of question or comment. But somebody was just asking, she turns her back to him. And is that normal? Now, I've seen a lot of perp walk. Right here, here's the moment in time, okay? So she kind of holds the door open for him. She's not even standing. She kind of opens the door for him and walks at least 5-6 feet ahead of him, opens the door. He gets in. He's clearly playing ball here with the transport to the county courthouse for this, quote unquote, mental health evaluation. Is there anything that you see in this video that is a little bit peculiar to you? Maybe that moment in time where she's kind of got her back turned to the inmate that she's supposed to be transferring?
Absolutely, JB. When I was ever escorting, I had my hand on them. I had my hand on that elbow and a very firm grip. And there was no way that I wanted to risk them fleeing, because in my experience, it happens. People literally run away. Whoops.
It's all right, Jennifer. We'll get you back. Hopefully we get you back. We'll bring Jennifer back in. I think that did her phone fall down? Happens. It happens. We're going to see. Now, I'm going to bring up your question here from Facebook, Jada. And it was a question for Jennifer, so hopefully we get Jennifer back. In the meantime, folks, we're going to spend another about 10 minutes on stream. And I'm looking for some questions now on YouTube, saying hi to Joanne, Daniel, Gino Smiles, B. Abernathy, Joan Slay. Seeing a lot of folks joining us. Hashtag HJB. This is a great question. This is an outstanding question that I did not think. See, this is why I watched this video 50 times and tried to look for anything. And Joan Slay in our comment section saw something that I didn't see. And maybe this is me overreacting, but Joan Slay says, hashtag HeyJB, was she supposed to seatbelt him in? Right? Why didn't I think of that? We are really micro-analyzing this video and really going into some of the details now. But she holds the door open, very polite, walks ahead of him, which Jennifer said is completely out of the ordinary, not supposed to do. Here she is. She opens the door. You're supposed to secure the safety of your passenger. No, it's like, okay, you're in there. Closes the door. Joan, that's a really astute comment. And this is why I love what I do, because I looked at this video looking for things like that, and I just couldn't. I did not even really. It just seems so nonchalant the way that these two are going about this. It seemed just so casual. It's like so casual that I overlooked that. So that's interesting. Very, very interesting. Hashtag HeyJB, Tyler Hammerin, why couldn't this guy do his time and not dupe this woman? If you're an inmate with your eyes set on freedom and you are thinking escape, you are doing anything you can to get out and escape, especially when you are facing a potential capital murder charge, or he is facing a capital murder. It's not potential. He's facing a capital murder charge for a stabbing death back, I believe, in 2015. So You're doing everything you can to get out and escape. And if you're Casey White in this instance, as we understand it, so it wasn't really like, you know, he was going to spend the rest of his life in jail upon conviction, or he was going to face the death penalty. And we know that there have been so many individuals on death row who have a long life because of the appeals process. You can appeal and extend and really buy time, if you will, as much time as possible by spacing out your appeals so that you're, you know, not staring at the room where you're going to lose your life, that you're not in that situation for as long as possible. So in this case, Casey White, you're doing everything and anything that you can to get out of jail, and that perhaps includes wooing somebody in the jail. Did a romance develop with the specific intention of escape? Is a question. Was the romance, and yet these are questions now, was the romance real for one person, not real for the other? Because the other person was thinking about something else other than love, thinking about getting out of handcuffs and getting out from behind bars. Tammy saying, hey, JB, did he have his leg shackles on? He does. He does have his leg shackles on. We noted that a little bit earlier. V Summer, hashtag hey JB. Do you think this will open the conversation about workplace with correction/inmate relations? I'll tell you a story really quickly before we wrap up here on stream. I did an investigation as a journalist. It's about 5 or so years ago now. No, wow, I'm losing track of time. I was a reporter in Alabama for 5 years, nearly 5 years, in southern Alabama, the opposite end of the state. And I did a story, and I spoke to a lot of inmates behind bars in a jail in southern Alabama. And the focal point of the investigation was the fact that there was an increasing amount of cell phones behind bars. It's been many, many years since this investigation. I don't know where it lives online, but there was an investigation that I did years back about how inmates had phones. And I'm not talking about like little, Tic-Tac looking phones, like a Nokia, just that you can, no, I'm talking about iPhones and Androids, like surfing the web in jail in Alabama. And we know this because there was an escape attempt that occurred where a jail was set on fire in Alabama many years ago. And there was video of it. There was video of the escape from inside, from the inmates' perspective. They barricaded themselves in the jail, and it was a zoo. It was a circus in there, and we had video from behind the barricade. Why did we have video? Because they were texting it to people from inside the jail during the riot. Crazy story. I have a propensity of finding crazy stories. That was one of the crazier stories I've covered, was this jail escape where we were given video. It wasn't a jail escape. It was like a jail riot that occurred. And we had video from inside the jail as it was happening from the inmates. And so, of course, the big question then became, why are the inmates able to record their own riot within the jail? And then, of course, our investigation went into cell phones behind bars. And then, of course, what did our investigation reveal? Where were they getting the phones? They were getting the phones from corrections officers who were selling them at a very, very marked up price, because it's been well established that most corrections officers aren't making a whole lot of money. So they would sell phones. And what would happen, I'm going to bring Jennifer back in. Jennifer, I'm curious because I haven't talked about this story in years. But again, I did a story about corrections officers who were in Alabama who were selling phones to inmates. And we had interviews with inmates in the jail who said, where'd you get the phone? They said, I got it from an inmate, from a corrections officer. And that was obviously it was a big thing, but it speaks to, the reason I'm bringing this up is it speaks to the relations that exist between corrections officers and those who were behind bars. And I remember doing a lot of digging on the story, and one of the things that I had found out was one of the ways that inmates had received their phones. And again, I'm talking really nice premium phones that you were able to get cell signal and you're able to talk to you were able to have contact with the outside world and read the news and watch YouTube videos from inside the jail. And the reason is because they bought them from the corrections officers who were looking to make a quick buck, and they did it under what they told the correct. I just want to talk to my family. I just want to FaceTime my daughter. I just want to FaceTime my son or see my mom that one last time. And that's how they were able to get cell phones inside the jail. But it speaks to, there's so many more stories to tell about the relationships that do surface, the relationships that do form between corrections officers and inmates. And this is one that we have where, based on all accounts and everything that we have, it just went too far.
No, you're absolutely right, JB. And there's so many instances. People wonder how drugs, how other things, cell phones, other items they're not allowed to have, how do they get in there? And a huge percentage of the time, it has to do with the guards and the people working there. That's how these items are being funneled in. Yeah,
contraband that makes it into... I'm sorry, say it again?
Sorry, I was going to say that's just a fact.
Yeah.
You know, it's a huge percentage. It's not their visitors that are bringing them in. It's aided by guards.
Right. It's, yeah. And so, and also welcome back, by the way. I hope your phone is, did your phone tumble there? I just want to make sure your phone's all right. Listen, it happens. I FaceTime all the time, so it happens.
Did you see that crash?
That was,
all of a sudden it was gone.
It's going to be a GIF on Twitter in no time. You just, someone's going to snapshot it, and that was going to, I wonder if Jennifer Coffindoffer's phone is going to become a Twitter account. But back to the matter at hand. Jennifer, we'll spend another 5 or so minutes. Let's do kind of rapid fire with Jennifer, folks, to kind of close out this stream. Hashtag HeyJB. Oh, yes, Waleska Cologne. Let's bring this up again. While you were gone, in phone purgatory there, Jennifer, we had a great question. I don't know if you caught it. Another thing that appears to be out of procedure here, and we might be making something out of something larger out of something that's really small. But what you'll notice here is that when he walks out, you noted how it's very bizarre that she's not holding him, grabbing him by the arm, or at least walking side by side with him or behind him to keep an eye on him. You noted how bizarre it is that she's walking several feet in front of him in a very, very casual, here it is, nonchalant way. But one of our commenters noted he doesn't get belted into the back of the vehicle. Take a look at this. Do you find that to be peculiar as well?
Absolutely. We have to belt the prisoners in, arrestees in, anyone we're taking. And it actually leads to kind of a dangerous situation because we have to lean across and usually hand it to the other officer, and it puts us in a very compromised position oftentimes. But you have to do it because if we're in a wreck and something happens, it would make the agency and ourselves liable. So therefore, yes, he should be belted in. Completely against procedure.
What does it mean to you that he isn't belted in?
Oh, this whole situation from the get-go tells me it's awry, that they have a relationship that is off, and that this from the beginning was planned, and it's indicative of their relationship.
I noted here, well, we're just talking about cell phones in jail. Somebody, V Summer, hashtag HAB. There's inmates right now, according to V Summer in our YouTube comment section, that have TikTok accounts. Inmates on TikTok. Mm-hmm. That's something I'll have to look into. Does that surprise you, Jennifer, that there are inmates that have TikTok profiles?
No, it doesn't surprise me. And people run their gangs and run their other nefarious, illicit actions from behind bars all the time. This is sadly not fair, not unusual.
Let's see here. Somebody with a very, very long, extremely long username. Hashtag Hey Jennifer, hashtag Hey JB. He probably does have cuff keys. That's why she didn't buckle him in. He uncuffed himself in the back seat before they even got him to the drop spot. We noted this earlier, and we can bring this up again. And there was there's still a lot of people in our comment section that want me to do this again, as far as freezing the moment in time where we get a good look at his hands. There is, I think, a growing number of people, and this is the internet. People are going to speculate all the time on the internet. Jennifer and I have been on stream before with another news story that I think that people are very well aware of, that we covered last year, where there was endless amounts of speculation online. But I want to address just some of the commenters here that are talking about the shot here of his hands and whether or not there's any chance, and we'll get Jennifer's professional opinion here. We'll zoom in. Is there any chance whatsoever that he has a key in his hand here, Jennifer? And how much would that shock you if that was the case at this moment in time?
I don't think he had a key there. I think when she got in the car, she handed him a key back, and that really has nothing to do with strapping him in or not, because you can see the buckle just goes over the arms and they can still manipulate their hands to uncuff. So I think she just handed him the key later. I don't think that they took care of that at this moment.
I would also like to remind people, before the whole, people start asking this question about a key being in his hands or what is in his hands, regardless, he's going down the street, and they were supposed to be going to the county courthouse. Of course, they don't make it to the county courthouse, but they're not going very far before they change vehicles, because the patrol vehicle is then found at the shopping center in Florence, and then they switch vehicles, or they walk before they switch vehicles. So there's, it's probably a very short car ride. It's probably not something where with the belting and so on and so forth, and with the with what might be in his hand. So I just want to kind of point that out as well with our audience. This is the last call for your comments and your questions on the WFLA Facebook page, the WFLA YouTube page. Hello to everybody joining us. The last call for your questions for Jennifer. Again, we're going to go rapid fire. You can use hashtag HeyJennifer. You can use hashtag HeyJB, whichever you prefer. And we'll just kind of go through these. Regina Whalen, hashtag HeyJB. They also get drugs and other paraphernalia from workers in the fields or alongside the roads. Okay, that's Regina's comment. Hello to Duty Ron. I see you there, Ron, in the comment section.
Is Duty Ron on?
Yeah, well, I see him in the comment section saying hello to him. Another friend of the program. It's been great to build some relationships with some phenomenal people in the last year. So Brian saying here in our comment section, hashtag HeyJennifer, do you think that Vicky stopped by the hotel room before ditching the patrol car? Do you think that she went into the hotel room, or do you think that she had checked out beforehand? Again, you're talking about her potentially having a whole lot of money and a whole lot of firearms on her as well.
Yeah, it's possible. To me, it's sort of inconsequential. I think the whole point is that she had everything planned out, and they specifically followed this plan. And that's why I believe, other than the kink with law enforcement releasing that description of the car, things have gone to plan. And even with that kink, they were able to acquire another vehicle. And that, to me, is, as a law enforcement officer, what my focus would be on, is trying to find where a vehicle was either stolen or purchased cash in that area.
When we look at the shots of the vehicle now, and we also look at her as a brunette here, how difficult is this now for the U.S. Marshals? And how about this? I'll rephrase this. We noted that the vehicle information, the vehicle details, Jennifer, got out, and it was not intended for it to get out. And that, I think, was something that was very disappointing for investigators, because that detail wasn't supposed to be made public knowledge, known to the media. I think that I've been following you on Twitter. I think you've noted this as well. And so in regards to, is there any chance that now that where we are in this investigation, that investigators know more than what they're releasing to the public, that there might be some other details that they are, keeping behind lock and key, so to speak, in relation to the 100%. Ongoing search? Yeah.
Sorry, JB.
No, please take it away.
Yes, 100%. Law enforcement, typically in these cases and other cases, what we get to see in the public is just a grain of sand. There is so much going on to do with cell phones and witness interviews and neighborhoods, going on. I call them neighborhoods, but basically where this car was, anybody and everybody who could have possibly seen anything. Obviously, they're going to reach out to any relatives because they could make contact with them. I would be a blitzkrieg in terms of where internationally they could have gone. Where could they have gotten a good passport? I mean, if this is me, I'm going to Cuba. They should have researched where can they go where we don't have good extradition type of ties with those countries. And because you're dealing with a law enforcement officer, they're going to be looking at these kinds of manner to stay on the run.
What do you make of the detail getting out? Now this is the earlier today when I woke up this morning and I said if I could ask Jennifer a question. I thought about this because we were trying to organize a stream. Remember I texted you and I said, hey, we need to get you on stream. The one question that I wanted to ask you above any other is, okay, these two disappear. You have this details about a vehicle here. When it comes to the strategy from federal officials, and you being a retired FBI agent, you're the best equipped to answer this question. You have details about a potential vehicle, and we'll just say just generally with any story of a potential escape or somebody that is wanted from a law enforcement perspective. Do you not want to release the vehicle details to the media to help everybody keep an eye out, be on the lookout, a bolo, if you will, say, hey, this is the vehicle we're looking for, and get the media and the public at large behind you? Or do you want to conceal that information to not tip off the person that you're looking for, that they actually have that information, that you are in fact located in that vehicle, for fear that they might ditch that vehicle and move on to a different vehicle or a different mode of transportation?
You're 100% concealing that. In a missing person case or an Amber Alert, you want the vehicle description out there so everybody can be looking. But no, you don't want to risk that the person you're looking for knows that you know what vehicle they're driving. This was a major setback for law enforcement. I would even submit that it's possible they could have had these guys in their grasp, but for this mistake.
I think we have heard similar things as well, that had this detail not, but see, here's the thing. We're also learning this vehicle was found soon thereafter, after their escape from Northwest Alabama. So it was very, very quick going from one place to the other. And you know what? I haven't actually looked up the drive distance. So I'm going to bring up Google Maps here, and we're going to go to, I have the intersection south of Nashville where the vehicle was found, Smithson Road and Banner Adams Road. The drive from Lauderdale County, we'll just say Florence. It's the nearest. We'll just say Florence, Alabama to this location. It is about a 2-hour drive, 106 miles. So no surprise that the vehicle was found really soon thereafter, after they put out, or after these two, disappeared from the jail, right? I mean, it's not that far away, one point from the other.
Right. It's not that far away, and they obviously had made plans for another vehicle or another mode of transportation. From all information, this was well planned. Sorry again.
We have, I think we have lost Jennifer again. Jennifer, I know what I'm getting you for Christmas. I'm getting you a tripod. We'll bring Jennifer back in here momentarily, and we can only hope that her phone survived the fall. Back here with you live, folks. Lynn Taylor. Oh my goodness, another excellent question. Hashtag HJB. Does she have a police radio to monitor what's going on? It's a really excellent question, because you're probably not traveling around with a phone, or at least a traceable phone. You're not traveling around with electronics that have anything that can be easily tracked if somehow law enforcement got word that you were in fact carrying that device, whether it was in your name or not. But a police radio, and just to be able to listen to frequencies, battery powered. I know that those batteries can last for a long time on a radio. I used to fool around with radios a little bit as a kid, and those style of radios, they can last a while. And if you've got $90,000, you probably can buy a whole lot of DC, whatever shape battery it would take. So that's an excellent, excellent question. And you have to, and maybe if we get Jennifer back, we can ask her if they would change frequencies, or if they would navigate the situation in Middle Tennessee or elsewhere under the knowledge that she might have her police radio on her. That's an interesting question. We'll give Jennifer a couple of moments to make a comeback. Yaya saying, yeah, perhaps a scanner or hand radio on board, probably deputy issued. And it's very possible. It's a good point. And then how does that affect your strategy? You're dealing with one of your own, breaking out potentially a dangerous person. That complicates things. Talking about somebody here on the right side of your screen with inner workings of how law enforcement operates, but then also too, not the best when it comes to spray painting a vehicle. Let's see here, folks. Sean, hashtag KJB, the road name where the edge was found. The address that I was given was, one more time, Smithson Road and Banner Adams Road in Williamson County, Tennessee. That is technically near Bethesda, south of Interstate 840, east of I-65. North of Huntsville, northeast of Florence, middle. And when I say middle, it's like middle Tennessee. I see it. All right, monitoring some feeds here, folks. I've also been, I juggle a lot of different stories, including we've got some Petito-related news that we're going to be getting to here in a bit. We do have to get going. We've spent a long time on this live stream. How long have we been here? Almost 2 hours. It's a long time on this live stream. And I did receive word earlier today about new paperwork being filed in the Gabby Petito situation. Look for my reporting on that. It's coming your way. I don't know if we'll have time for another live stream here today, but I will share it out on my WFLAJB Facebook, Twitter, sometimes on Instagram every now and again. But yeah, there is, and I was just given a heads up because I was focusing so much on this story today that also too, that I'll have to get back with everybody on social media regarding developments with, new developments in the civil case that is developing between the Laundries and the Petitos and the Gabby Petito story. I've been tweeting out a lot of new information about that. I did get word of some new information earlier today. And then, of course, we're talking about this story for an extended period of time today. Lot going on here. It's a normal Friday in the news business when everything sort of comes out but before the weekend. So, folks, I'm going to get going here, folks. I really appreciate everybody joining us here on WFLA Now. The very latest on the story. Where can you find it? Couple places, actually. WFLA.com, the WFLA app, follow our sister stations as well. WHNT in Huntsville doing some phenomenal work. WKRN doing some great work as well, saying hello to my friends in Tennessee and Alabama. But for the latest on this story right now, you can find it on WFLA.com, the WFLA app. additional details about live streams, additional details about this story, additional details about Gabby Petito Bryan Laundrie, I'll be posting them to my social media accounts at WFLA Facebook, at WFLA Twitter, and at WFLA on Instagram as well. Big thank you to Jennifer Coffendoffer for joining us. Hopefully her phone is okay. Thinking about her phone, and appreciate everybody who joined us here with #KJB. We'll see you next time on WFLA Now.